Today is the fourth Sunday of Lent. A Sunday referred to as Letare Sunday. A Sunday that we are called to rejoice. Rejoice because we are drawing closer to the Paschal mystery, the celebration of the Easter season. Good morning, my dearest friends, and welcome to this Sunday's reflection. The theme for our reflection this morning is the overwhelming love of God. Today's liturgy of the word presents to us three passages for our reflection. The first reading from the second book of Chronicles, chapter 36, from verse 14 to 17 and 19 to 23. The second reading from St. Paul's letter to the Ephesians, chapter 2, from verse 4 through to 10. And the Gospel of today is taken from the Gospel of St. John, chapter 3, from verse 14 to 21. And within these verses, in the third chapter of the Gospel of St. John, we have the summary, not just of these particular passages, but the summary of the Bible. John 3, verse 16 to 17. For God so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him may not perish, but have everlasting life. God sent his Son not to condemn the world, but that he might save the world. And so, my brothers and sisters, we may ask, which world is God demonstrating this love? Which world? The first reading of today tells us the type of world that God has directed his love. A world that opposes the laws of God, a disobedient world, unfaithful world, a fallen family of man and woman that needs redemption, a rebellious world. This is the love that God chose his love. Is this not overwhelming? In the first reading, we see the story of the people of Israel. Their continuous unfaithfulness to this love of God. Despite their unfaithfulness and the eventual consequence of their sin, which was exile, God demonstrated his love by inspiring a foreign king to make a decree allowing the Israelites to go back to the land. And in the second reading of today, St. Paul tells us how God demonstrated this love through Christ Jesus, who came and died for our sin. This is the love that God has for us. He did not love us because we are good, because we are perfect, because we are saints. God chose to love us in the midst of our rebellious lifestyle. But the big question for you and me today and always is, what is my response? What is your response to this overwhelming love of God? How do you respond to this love of God? Do you respond with unbelief? Continuous rejection? Christ Jesus is the light that has come into the world to enlighten our darkness, to teach us and tell us about the truth. Yet, the world prefers darkness to light. And so spiritual darkness, death, and disinheritance becomes the portion of those who continuously reject this love of God. Condemnation becomes the lot of those who reject this love of God at the end. But today God is calling you, is calling me, is reminding us that he loves us despite our situation, despite our sinfulness. In fact, a mystic once said that we are loved sinners. And that is why we should be joyful today. A Sunday of joy, Why? Because of this overwhelming love of God. And so, my brothers and sisters, as we gather around the world today to celebrate this holy day, this special day, a day dedicated to the Lord, let us have a sober reflection on our lives. Let us be grateful. Let us show gratitude to God for this love by becoming obedient to the commandments of the Lord, by abandoning sin, by moving away from the works of darkness, so that we may walk in the light of Christ Jesus. May the Lord bless you this day and always.